Welcome, soyez bienvenue. As always, stop the video, pause the video, go backwards for your own learning ability. That way you can re-listen to what you need to, or if this is review, go ahead and click on that little editing thing at the bottom and change your speed. Speed it up if you would like, slow it down. And as always, if you have questions afterwards, laisse-moi savoir. Today, welcome to the pronunciation of the alphabet, as well as les numéros. We're going to talk about 1 à 100. Alphabet, it's important if you're asking somebody how to spell something, you need directions somewhere. They'll probably spell out the road, especially if you're not familiar with the pronunciation of some of these fun names. So alphabet will be important. You have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And notice, a lot of those are just, this A at the end. As are giving you a key as to how those letters are going to be pronounced. They're putting the R there to help you remember that it's right? The J. Notice the G is going to sound like a J, J. And the J is going to sound like a J. The I's and D do make an I sound. And what else was different? Oh, the R, it's more in the back of the throat. Okay, so this is a funny sound that does not exist in English, and I love this sound. It's very tight, so it's like your jaw has to be a lot tighter. And you make this E, right? E sound, E. And then you close your lips up as if you're going to kiss someone. U. So it's a very tight sound. And you'll need that sound for things like tu, vu, nu, lots of important words. And the rest seem pretty simple. Just think of the Z as in Canadian, Z. And I think you'll get it. So if you need to, pause the video, go backwards, try it out again. But let's practice your spelling. I'm going to spell out a couple words for you, numéro 1, and you see if you can write them down and check it at the end of the video. How well did you do? Numéro 1, M-A-D-A-M-E. And again, you can pause and repeat that if you need to. Numéro 2, H-O-Y. Numéro 3, E-S-T. I'm going to repeat that one for you. E-S-T. Numéro 4, S-U-P-O-R. Again, you can repeat and check how well you did at the end. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about phonetics. If you love phonetics, this slide is going to be key for you. But in general, it tells you how many different sounds there are in French. So as you can see, there's about 26 different consonant sounds. And again, most of them are the same in English as in French. Like the C can make a S or a K sound, just like in English. And it follows the same rules. So if a C followed by an A is going to make a K sound like cat, and a C followed by an E is going to make a sound. But in French, we have something called a cédille. Let's see if I can, there we are. The cédille is that little squiggly line under the C that's going to always make it have a sound. Like in the word français. It has a cédille because C-A-I-S-C, français. We still want that soft sound instead of a K sound. Sounds that aren't the same are something like the CH, which is going to make a sh sound instead of a ch sound. The L's, if you have two L's together, sometimes they make no sound. That's what this O means. The M and the N sometimes can make no sound in the sense of they make the next or the previous vowel. So if you have OM, it's going to make that previous vowel sound nasal, and then the M or N is not pronounced. If you have an E, like in English, then the M sound will pop, and we do have it, which is why it can make either the M sound, the N sound, or no sound. G's follow the same thing as the C in the sense that they have two different sounds. It can have a hard G and a soft J, like English, garage. G-A makes G and G-O similarly, but G-E, G-A, G-E and G-I will make a soft zh sound. And notice how the French J is always going to make that zh sound, which is pretty nice. The last consonant that really makes a difference is the R. In English, it's technically not a consonant because there's nothing blocking the air. It's just as in red. So there's nothing in between that sound blocking any air. But in French there is, and it's because you use that uvular thing in the back of your throat to block the sound, and you have that r. As you can see, there are a lot of different vowel sounds from here, but we're going to concentrate very briefly on the fact that A's will make an A in general. E's can either make an or an A sound, especially if they have that lovely accent on them in general. I's will make an E sound in general. O's, they're like an O. They can make more open or closed mouth. The U's can make that sh sound in general. And the Y can make that y or y sound. And again, that's very brief. But our goal here is that you can pronounce the numbers. So if you love phonetics, here's a lovely phonetic handout of that. If not, let's talk about just pronunciation if you're unsure of those. So the numbers alone, the final consonants are not often pronounced. So which makes that difference versus un and une. They're both one, but the N's do not get pronounced if there's no E following it, and the vowel in front becomes nasalized, so it's un. The X, the S aren't pronounced, so we have deux, trois. We have quatre, cinq, six, sept, huit, neuf, dix, et vingt. Notice the T isn't pronounced, which means the G isn't pronounced, and the N is an N, so it makes that vowel sound in front of it nasalized. The fun thing is that if these are before a vowel, like a word with a vowel sound, they do become pronounced because the French do this liaison. Everything flows onto the next word. So we have un an, 1 year, une fiche, deux amis, trois oncles, and notice so common liaison is that Z sound. Quatre enfants, cinq enfants, six hommes, sept images, huit affiches, neuf, notice that's a kind of a V, neuf amis, 10 ans et 20 affiches. So there's numbers in general, a 1 to 10 at least. If you want something more Americanized pronunciation, we have these, which might be helpful. But let's talk about 11 through 20 and beyond. So pronunciation is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's right. So these three are going to need this little bar between them because they're a combination of two words. And we are talking about 20, but there's a common thing with 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, and even 71, where we need A for that number and 1, and with 71 it's and 11, but we'll talk about that in a second. So we don't need the bar because A replaces that little bar between the two combined words. So we have 21, 22, and notice this is that pattern. We do this in English as well, where we just add those numbers on. So we'll do the same thing with 30, like 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. And we have 40 for 40. And notice how 30 kind of sounds like trois, 40 kind of has that quatre, 50, you even hear 5 in it, in 50. 66, 60, very similar. So super fast. So up through 69, we're super fast. We have 69. But once we get past that, the French do math. So instead of saying 71, there's not really a word for 70 unless you live in another francophone place, like in Africa where they use Belgian French, where then they do have a word for that. But 71, 60, 10, and then 70, 70, 71 is 60 and 11. And then they're going to follow that pattern of saying 60, 12, 60, 13, 16, 14. So we have 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 79, 78, 79. And then 80 is this crazy thing with multiplication. So we have 4 20s, 80. And notice I need an S because there's 4 20s here. But when I go past that, we're adding on more words. And when I add on more words, that S on the end of 20 goes away. And notice how after that I don't need and for 81. I say 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. You see this lovely pattern all the way to 90, so 90. So they're doing that same thing they kind of did with 70, where they said 60-10 and then added 60-11 and 60-12. And we're going to do that all the way to 100. So 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 97, 98, 99 et 100. So if it's helpful to remember this lovely little meme about the linguistique, the différences linguistiques in America, we say 97, 90, and 7. And I guess in German, they say 7 and 90. But in French, we have 4 times 20 plus 10 plus 7. So let's resume really quickly. So the most consonants are pronounced the same as English is in French. Now, there are a few odd things, that letters of the alphabet when we're saying them aloud. The E versus the I, the J, J. But when we're talking about the pronunciation of those sounds that we're seeing in a word, this is an E, I, J. And the M and N can be completely dropped, and that ish sound is a little bit difficult to say. The sounds depend upon where they're located in the sentence. So if I have UN and there's no E following it, the N's at the end, I don't pronounce the end and I make it nasal. We do pronounce, we don't normally pronounce the final consonant with most words, like we mentioned, but we do pronounce C, R, F, or L in general. Notice how it looks like careful. Or if it's followed by an E. So neuf, we pronounce the F. And French people, of course, are good at math. They have to do addition or multiplication. If you have any questions, here's those answers that we were looking for before. If you have any questions, laisse-moi savoir. À bientôt.